is going to be a far less serious presentation than the last one. My name is Ralph Talmont. I'm a photographer. Most of my professional life has been spent or misspent on publishing and other such things. I've done a bunch of books and a bunch of photographs. So naturally tonight I'm going to talk about economics. Which is not as stupid as it sounds, because my current project, Pixengo, which is an internet startup, a media sharing site for travelers, is built along the principles that I'm going to talk about tonight. We know that capitalism has been with us since the time of the Renaissance, and Mr. Smith in the 18th century codified a number of the principles in his Wealth of Nations, but pretty much all the way along it's been a work in progress. The guy on the left, well, he thought he could fix it. We all know what happened. The guy next to him, he perfected it. He was the richest man on earth for a while. The lady next to him has proven that girls can play too. And the guy on the right, well, he just made off with a hell of a lot of people's money and is now in jail. So you could say that capitalism is now at a crossroads, or perhaps we're living at an evolutionary moment. Well, we could be living at an evolutionary moment if there are enough visionaries out there to bring it about. Faster. Visionaries such as Brother Martin here, who nailed 95 theses to a cathedral door some time ago, thereby precipitating a process of change. Well, 10 years ago, 4 people wrote another 95 theses, of which the second is quite important. Markets consist of human beings. How new is that? What McLuhan was on about 45 years ago, of course, has come to pass, and over the last 10 to 15 years, a lot of people, bright people, have been writing about the idea of technology freeing up the economic potential, starting with Yochai Benkler here. We'll meet him again in a moment. So I have to say thanks, Marshall. Thanks to the freeing up of economic potential, we're now doing jobs that we didn't know existed 10 years ago, but at least we have the tools. Faster. And I'm not talking about e-commerce. I'm talking about something altogether new, a new e-economy. Thanks to some visionary companies, these and many like them, we're now actually in a time where we're actually seeing the beginnings of a new economy. If you look at this is kind of interesting. How big is this? Well, it's fairly big, but we've only just begun. Even though we have only just begun, if eBay were a country, it would be in the top 10 of world economies, which is kind of interesting. Yochai puts it rather elegantly. This is actually my email signature at the moment. So instead of, if you can see the metaphor here, instead of progress tearing apart the social fabric, we can actually coalesce around common ideas and interests. So the other bearded guy actually had some of the words right, but it's actually only now that we're living at the dawn of an era of great individual opportunity combined with great individual responsibility. So we're actually talking libertarianism rather than communism. It's been amply documented that now everyone within the context of the network can be a producer as well as a consumer. This is a visualization of the internet, which you may have seen. The new stuff is coming, I promise. But we do have to work with the invention of this other bearded guy, the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto principle, which means that most people will usually own most things and contribute most things, but it also means that there are quite a lot of people who can participate. So here is the new thing. I think we're headed towards the emergence of something which can be best described as a participatory free market, which means that some people over here will benefit from the curve being flattened. You can imagine my astonishment when I came up with this idea a couple of weeks ago and I Googled it, and I got a Google whack, which actually didn't have anything to do with it. The other column is from a week later, when I'd asked some people on Twitter what they thought it might mean, and I started to get answers. So what we're actually seeing is a redrawing of maps, or drawing of new maps that are based not so much on geography as on our social and economic relationships. Faster. Oh, this is really good. It's a bright projector. These maps actually are numerous. They overlap in places. And in a lot of places, they have the potential to create spaces for the building of such participatory free markets. But of course, not all is well, and there are bumps on the road ahead. Most of these actually have to do with human nature and not with technology. Technology itself is actually fairly straightforward. My favorite is EBI, extreme bureaucratic idiocy, which is also enabled by technology, which is actually neutral. So, this is my final slide. These are some of the principles that I think are important. We need visionaries and we need explorers to actually take us down this path, because I think this is definitely where we're going. And I'd really love to hear from you, because the reason I'm up here is to ask the question. Thank you very much.